I inherited $3 million from my grandmother, only to discover my husband had already emptied our joint accounts. The worst part, he took my daughter with him. The lawyer's office was quiet as she pushed the paperwork across the mahogany desk. Miss Wilson, your grandmother's estate is substantial. She left very specific instructions that you were to be the sole beneficiary. I stared at the number, unable to process it. $3 million. My grandmother, who had lived in a modest two-bedroom house and clipped coupons religiously, had been sitting on a fortune for decades. There must be some mistake, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The lawyer, Miss Chen, shook her head. Your grandmother was very deliberate with her finances. She made investments that paid off enormously over the years. She wanted you to have security, Maya. Security. The word echoed in my mind as I signed the papers with trembling hands. My marriage to Ethan had been rocky lately. His startup failing, the mounting bills, the constant arguments about money. This inheritance would change everything. We could pay off our debts, move to a better neighborhood for Lily, maybe even save our marriage. I called Ethan's cell as soon as I left the lawyer's office, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted him. Big news. Be home in 20. You won't believe what just happened. Asterisk, the drive home was a blur of plans and possibilities. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe, but when I pulled into our driveway, Ethan's car wasn't there. The house felt immediately wrong when I stepped inside too, quiet, too still. Ethan, I called out. Lily? Nothing. I moved through the rooms noticing subtle differences. Lily's favorite stuffed elephant was gone from the couch. The framed photo of us at the beach missing from the mantel. My heart began to race as I rushed upstairs to our bedroom. I yanked open Ethan's dresser drawers, emptied the closet half bare. Lily's room, her suitcase gone along with her favorite clothes and toys. My hands shook as I opened my banking app. Our joint savings account, $0. Checking account, $42.13. They were gone. A note sat on my pillow. Ethan's handwriting instantly recognizable. Diop Maya. Asterisk, then by the time you read this, Lily and I will be starting our new life. I've tried to make this work, but we both know it's been over for a long time. Your obsession with work and your emotional distance have made it impossible for us to be a family. Asterisk, Sam. I've taken what I deserve after 5 years of supporting your career while mine stagnated. Lily needs stability. Something you've never been able to provide. Asterisk, Sen. Don't try to find us. Asterisk, Ethan. I collapsed onto the bed, the letter crumpling in my fist. My phone buzzed with a notification, an Instagram post from my cousin Emma, a selfie with Ethan and Lily at what looked like an airport terminal. The caption, the new adventures with my favorite people, number fresh start, number family. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. My husband, my daughter, my cousin all gone, on the very day I could have fixed everything. I looked down at the inheritance paper still clutched in my hand and felt something shift inside me. The grief crystallized into something harder, something colder. If Ethan thought he'd taken everything from me, he was wrong. He had no idea what I'd just inherited or what I was capable of. The first 24 hours after discovering Ethan's betrayal passed in a blur of panic and desperate phone calls. I called the police, who listened sympathetically but explained that since Ethan was Lily's father and there was no custody agreement, technically no crime had been committed. I'd need a lawyer, they said. A family court judge. He stole our money, I argued, my voice cracking. Joint accounts are complicated, ma'am, the officer replied. You'll need to pursue that civilly. I sat in our half-empty house, staring at Emma's Instagram post until my vision blurred. The notification chime of my phone startled me. A text from my mother. We need to talk about Ethan, come over. Asterisk. I drove to my parents' suburban home in a daze, clinging to the hope that they might have answers, might help me make sense of this nightmare. The familiar driveway, the neatly trimmed hedges, the wind chime my father had hung years ago. It all felt like a different life now. Mum opened the door before I could knock, her expression a mixture of concern and something else, something that made my stomach tighten. Maya, honey, she said, stepping aside to let me in. Your father and I have been so worried. Dad sat in his recliner, hands clasped tightly in his lap, not meeting my eyes. The air in the living room felt thick with unspoken words. Do you know where they are? I asked immediately. Has Ethan contacted you? My parents exchanged a glance that confirmed my worst suspicions. Sit down, Maya, Mom said softly. I remained standing. You knew he was planning this. Dad cleared his throat. Ethan came to us a month ago. He was concerned about you, said you'd been distant, working too much, that the marriage was falling apart. And you believed him? The betrayal cut deeper. Did you know he was taking Lily? Did you know about Emma? Another glance between them, another twist of the knife. Emma's been going through a tough time since her divorce, Mom said, as if that explained everything. She and Ethan, they've always had a connection, and they both love Lily so much. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you seriously defending them? Ethan cleared out our accounts. He took my daughter without a word. Maya, Dad finally spoke up, his voice firm. You've always been so focused on your career. Maybe this is a wake-up call, Ethan said. You were barely home that Lily was asking why Patches never read her bedtime stories anymore. The accusation stung because it held a grain of truth. I'd been working longer hours trying to earn the promotion that would finally give us financial stability. The irony of my grandmother's inheritance wasn't lost on me. Where are they? I demanded. We promised not to tell you right away, Mom admitted. Give them some time, Ethan just needs space to think. Space, I laughed bitterly. He stole my money and my child, and my own family helped him. I pulled out my phone and showed them the inheritance papers. Grandma left me everything, $3 million. I was coming home to tell Ethan we were finally financially secure, that I could cut back my hours, that everything would be okay. The shock on their faces would have been satisfying if I wasn't so devastated. Oh Maya, Mom whispered. We didn't know. No, I said coldly. You didn't ask. You just assumed I was the villain in Ethan's story. I turned to leave, but Dad caught my arm. Wait, this changes things. Let us call Ethan, explain. I pulled away from his grasp. Don't bother, I'll find them myself. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a notification. Emma had posted again, a photo of Lily eating ice cream, her face bright with laughter. Location tagged Miami Beach. I started my car, a plan already forming in my mind. Ethan thought he'd left me with nothing, but he had no idea what resources I now had at my disposal. $3 million bought a lot of answers, and I was just getting started 3 days after Ethan disappeared with our daughter. I sat in the office of Diane Rodriguez, one of the top private investigators in the city. Her credentials were impeccable, former FBI, specialized in locating missing children and adults who didn't want to be found. Her fee was astronomical. I didn't care. So your husband took your daughter and your cousin appears to be involved. Diane summarized, reviewing the information I provided, and they're in Miami based on social media posts. Yes, I confirmed, but I am worried they might move again once they realize I know their location. Diane nodded. That's a reasonable concern. Miami's a gateway city, easy access to international flights, cruise ships, if they're planning to leave the country. The The thought made my chest tighten. Can you find them quickly? With what you provided, bank information, phone numbers, social media accounts? Yes, I have contacts in Miami who can start immediately. She leaned forward. But Maya, I want to be clear about something. Finding them is step one. A facting your daughter back legally is going to be more complicated. I've already contacted a family law attorney, I said. She's preparing emergency custody paperwork. Good, you'll need that. Diane's expression softened slightly. One more thing, are you prepared for what you might find? Sometimes when we track people down, the situation is more complex than it initially appears. I thought about Emma's Instagram photos, the way she stood so close to Ethan, her hand possessively on Lily's shoulder. I am prepared for anything. I just want my daughter back. After leaving Diane's office, I drove to my grandmother's house, now my house. I hadn't been there since the funeral 3 weeks ago. It was a modest 2-bedroom bungalow in an older neighborhood, nothing that would suggest its owner had millions stashed away. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked the door infilade. Everything was exactly as she'd left it, crotcheted afghans draped over the sofa, faded photos on the walls, the lingering scent of the rosewater perfume she'd worn for 50 years. I wandered through the rooms, touching her things, trying to connect with the woman who'd secretly been building wealth while living so frugally. In her bedroom, I found a small safe in the closet. The combination, my birthday, clicked open on the first try. Inside were documents, investment accounts, property deeds, and a letter addressed to me in my grandmother's elegant handwriting. Typed, my dearest Maya, *sen, if you are reading this. I've passed on, and you've discovered what I've been quietly building all these years. Perhaps you are wondering why I lived so simply while accumulating this wealth. The answer is simple: freedom. *fen money gives you options, my darling girl, and that too many women in our family never had. Your great-grandmother stayed with an abusive husband because she couldn't support herself. Your grandmother, my mother, worked 2 jobs after my father left until it broke her health. *then. And then there was me. When your grandfather died young, everyone expected me to struggle. Instead, I had been secretly investing for years. His death was heartbreaking, but it never broke me financially. *son, I've watched you, Maya. You work so hard, worry so much. You try to please everyone, your husband, your parents, your bosses. This money is not just financial security. It's the power to choose your own path. Use it wisely. Use it for Lily. And most importantly, use it for yourself. *sen, all my love. *sen, grandmother. I clutched the letter to my chest, tears streaming down my face. She'd known, not the specifics perhaps, but she'd sensed I might someday need exactly what she was giving me, the power to choose, to act, to fight. My phone rang. Diane. We found them. They rented a beach house in North Miami under Emma's name. I'm texting you the address now. Thank you, I said, suddenly decisive. Book me on the next flight to Miami, Maya, Diane cautioned. Don't confront them alone. Let the legal process. I am not confronting anyone, I interrupted. I just need to see my daughter, to know she's okay while the lawyers do their work. But as I packed a small bag and ordered an Uber to the airport, I knew I was lying to Diane and to myself. Seeing Ethan and Emma together, seeing them with my child, I couldn't predict what I might do. The cold determination that had been building inside me since reading Ethan's note had transformed into something harder, sharper. 3 hours later, I was on a plane to Miami, my grandmother's letter in my purse, and her strength in my heart. Ethan had taken my daughter and my money, thinking I'd be left powerless. He had no idea what was coming for him. The Miami heat hit me like a wall as I stepped out of the air-conditioned terminal. Swait immediately beaded on my forehead as I navigated to the rental car counter, where I splurged on a luxury effery with tinted windows. If I was going to conduct surveillance, I might as well be comfortable. The address Diane had provided led me to a gated community of pastel-colored beach houses in North Miami. I parked across the street, positioning myself with a clear view of the pale yellow 2-story home where my husband, cousin, and daughter were apparently playing house. For 3 hours, I sat watching the air conditioning, running, occasionally sipping from a bottle of water. Just as I was beginning to wonder if they were even there, the front door opened. Emma emerged, wearing a flowing sundress, oversized sunglasses perched on her head, and beside her, holding her hand, was Lily, my daughter. My heart stuttered at the sight of her dark curls bouncing as she skipped alongside Emma, wearing the pink swimsuit I'd bought her for her birthday. They walked down to the community pool where Emma spread out towels while Lily bounced impatiently, clearly eager to jump in. Every instinct screamed at me to rush over to grab my daughter and hold her close, but I forced myself to remain in the car, watching as Emma applied sheer to Lily's shoulders with practiced ease, as if she'd done it 100 times before. Another 20 minutes passed before Ethan appeared, carrying a cooler and what looked like pool toys. He set them down, kissed Emma casually on the lips, then scooped Lily up and tossed her giggling into the air. The perfect little family bile rose in my throat. I had anticipated how viscerally painful it would be to see them together like this. In my mind, Ethan had been holding Lily hostage, perhaps telling her lies about why Patches wasn't there. I hadn't imagined this scene of domestic bliss before I could reconsider my plan. I was out of the car, walking purposefully toward the pool gate. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure they would hear it. Mommy? Lily spotted me first, her face lighting up with genuine joy. She scrambled out of the pool, water streaming from her tiny body as she ran toward me. I knelt down and caught her in my arms, breathing in the chlorine and sink scent of her. Hi, baby, I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Ethan and Emma had frozen in place, twin expressions of shock on their faces. Then Ethan was moving, striding toward us with purpose. Maya, he said, his voice controlled but eyes wild. What are you doing here? I came to see my daughter, I replied simply, still holding Lily tightly. You can't just show up like this, he hissed, keeping his voice low but intense. We agreed on nothing, I cut him off. You left a note and disappeared with our child. Emma had joined us now, hovering nervously at Ethan's side. Maya, please, you are upsetting Lily. As if on cue, Lily pulled back to look at my face. Why are you mad, Patches? Are you coming to stay with us at the beach house? The innocent question broke my heart. No, sweetie, I just came to visit today. Why don't you go swim a little more while the grown-ups talk? Ethan suggested to Lily, his eyes never leaving mine. Lily looked uncertainly between us, sensing the tension. Emma took her hand. Come on, pumpkin. I'll race you to the deep end. Once Lily was out of earshot, Ethan's facade cracked. You had no right to track us down. I told you not to look for us. And you had no right to take my daughter without discussing custody, I replied, fighting to keep my voice steady, or to clean out our bank accounts. I took what I was entitled to after supporting your career for years, he snapped. Is that what you tell yourself? I laughed bitterly. You stole from me, Ethan. You and Emma planned this for months. A flicker of something guilt perhaps crossed his face before he masked it. You weren't there, Maya. You were never there, for me or for Lily. So instead of talking to me about it, you decided to punish me by taking my child. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. My lawyer will be filing emergency custody papers tomorrow tomorrow. I'm taking Lily home. Panic flashed in his eyes. You can't do that, watch me. He grabbed my arm, fingers digging painfully into my skin. Maya, think about what you were doing. Lily's happy here. She's adjusted. Do you really want to traumatize her again? Let go of me, I said quietly. You are not thinking clearly. You never do when you are emotional. That's always been your problem. His grip tightened. If you try to take her, I'll tell everyone about your breakdown last year. I stared at him, genuinely confused. What breakdown? A calculated look crossed his face. The one where you had to be hospitalized after threatening to hurt yourself? The one where you were on medication for months afterward, don't you remember? With sickening clarity, I understood. He was laying groundwork for a custody battle, manufacturing a history of mental instability. There are records, Maya, he continued, voice smooth now. Prescriptions, nephivist visits. Emma will testify that she was concerned about you around Lily. Your own parents will confirm they were worried about your state of mind. I pulled my arm free, my mind racing. This was a more sophisticated plan that I'd given Ethan credit for. If he'd been documenting a false mental health crisis, if he'd Emma and my parents backing his story. Two security guards approached us, their expressions stern. One asked, looking between us. Yes, Ethan said immediately. This woman is harassing my family. She's not a resident and isn't authorized to be here. Sir, is this true? The guard turned to me. I looked over at Lily, happily splashing in the pool with Emma. Causing a scene now, possibly being removed by security in front of my daughter. That would play right into Ethan's narrative. I was just leaving, I said quietly. The security guards escorted me to my car. As I drove away, I glanced in my rearview mirror to see Ethan on his phone, gesturing animatedly. Highview calling my parents. Both. I'd underestimated him. I thought this was a simple case of him taking advantage of opportunity, stealing money he knew was in our accounts, taking Lily on impulse when he left. But this was calculated, planned. As I checked into a nearby hotel, I realized I needed to completely rethink my approach. He was building a case against me, creating a narrative where I was unstable, unfit to be Lily's mother. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, opened my laptop, and began to do what I did best: research, analyze, strategize. If Ethan wanted to play dirty, he had no idea who he was up against. I had resources now. And more importantly, I had nothing left to lose, except Lily, and I would do anything to get her back. Sleep eluded me that night. I spent hours poring over financial records, emails, anything that might give me insight into Ethan's plan. Around 3 a.m., struggling to keep my eyes open, I noticed something odd in our credit card statements. For the past 8 months, Ethan had been making regular payments to a storage facility in our hometown. We didn't have a storage unit, at least none that I knew about. I called Diane immediately, not caring about the hour. I need you to find out what's in a storage unit, I said after explaining my discovery. I'll get someone on it first thing in the morning, she promised. In the meantime, my contact at the Miami PD ran those bank accounts you asked about. Here is something strange going on with your husband's finances. What do you mean? Large transfers to offshore accounts, inconsistent business expenses. It looks like classic money laundering patterns. I sat up straighter. Money laundering. Ethan's startup barely made any money. Exactly, Diane said. Perfect cover for moving other funds through the business. Has he ever mentioned clients in Russia or China? Or unusually cash-rich businesses like restaurants or laundromats? My mind raced through possibilities. Ethan had mentioned a new investor last year, someone who wanted to remain anonymous but was very interested in the software platform he was developing. Reading the same time, he'd started traveling more frequently, always vague about his meetings. I said slowly, my husband might be involved in something illegal. It would explain the sudden departure, the attempt to create distance from you, Diane agreed. If he sensed investigators were closing in, he might have decided to cut ties. But why take Lily? Why involve Emma? Insurance maybe? Or leverage if you discovered what he was doing? The pieces were starting to fit together. Ethan's increasingly secretive behavior, his insistence that I not involve myself in his business finances, his desperation to control the narrative around our separation. What does this mean for getting Lily back? I asked. It could change everything, Diane said. Financial crimes involving international transfers fall under federal jurisdiction. If he's under investigation or about to be, that's a whole different ballgame from a simple custody dispute. After hanging up, I couldn't go back to sleep. I paced the hotel room, my mind buzzing with this new information. Dawn was breaking over Miami when my phone rang again. Diane, we got into the storage unit, she said without preamble. Maya, you need to see what's inside. 4 hours later, I was looking at photographs of the storage unit's contents. Dozens of boxes filled with financial documents, multiple laptops, hard drives, and most shocking of all, several stacks of cash bundled in plastic wrap. I couldn't find the words. Lots of it. My contact recognized names in those documents connected to an ongoing federal investigation into fraud and money laundering. Does Ethan know you found this? The unit was accessed with a duplicate key. Everything was photographed without disturbing it, and it was locked back up exactly as it was found. As far as he knows, his secret cache is still secure. I sat heavily on the hotel bed. So my husband isn't just a thief and a liar, he's a criminal. Looks that way, Diane confirmed. And that changes our strategy completely. How so? We can go to the FBI. This kind of evidence, it's leverage. They might be very interested in what Ethan knows about whoever he's working with. And Lily? No judge is going to award custody to a parent under federal investigation. Right to one who's demonstrated flight risk behavior. For the first time since discovering Ethan's betrayal, I felt a glimmer of hope. But something was still nagging at me. Emma, I said suddenly. How does she fit into this? Is she involved in his criminal activities? Or is she just a pawn? Unknown, Diane admitted. But given their relationship predates his leaving you, it's possible she knows something. I thought about Emma, my cousin, who'd always competed with me, who'd always wanted what I had. Had she known what Ethan was involved in? Was she complicit? Or just an opportunistic bystander? I need to talk to her, I decided, alone. Maya, that's risky. If she elodes Ethan, she won't, I said with sudden certainty. Because I am going to offer her something she wants more than Ethan, which is, I smiled grimly, immunity and money, bon of it. That afternoon, I texted Emma, the need to talk, just us about Lily's medical records, the school requested. Alexon Collins, I 4 p.m. Asterisk, it was a calculated risk. Emma would be suspicious, but the mention of Lily's school and medical needs might be enough to get her there. Brickstring, if nothing else would drive her to find out what I knew at 4:15. Emma slid into the seat across from me, her face a careful mask of nonchalance. Maya, she said coolly, this better be important. Ethan doesn't know I am here. Oh, it's important, I replied, sliding a folder across the table. Important enough that you are going to want to distance yourself from my husband very quickly. She eyed the folder warily but didn't open it. What is this, some kind of custody thing? Because if you think I am going to help you, it's evidence, I cut her off, of Ethan's involvement in international money laundering and Julie fraud. The FBI is already investigating. waiting. It's just a matter of time before they connect everything. Emma's face paled slightly, but she maintained her composure. I don't know what you are talking about. No. Then you won't mind if I share these photos of Ethan's storage unit with you. The one with all the cash and offshore account documents. The one the FBI will be raiding any day now. Her eyes flickered with recognition. Then, fear, what do you want? I want to know if you are involved, and I want my daughter back. Emma's carefully constructed facade began to crack. I am not involved in whatever he's doing, I swear. He told me he made his money legitimately for investments and his business. But you knew he was planning to leave me to take Lily. She looked away. Yes, why? What did I ever do to you? Emma's eyes flashed with sudden anger. You had everything handed to you, Maya. The perfect husband, the beautiful daughter, the big career. Examen always talked about how amazing Maya was, how successful. Do you know what it's like to be the screw-up cousin who can never measure up? So you decided to steal my life? Ethan came to me, she said defensively. He said he was unhappy that you were never there, that he was raising Lily alone. And you believed him because it was convenient. Emma didn't deny it. What happens now? Are you going to turn me into the FBI too? I leaned forward. That depends on you. I'm offering you a deal. Help me get Lily back safely. Tell me everything you know about Ethan's business dealings, and I'll make sure the authorities know you were an unwitting participant. And if I don't? I opened the folder, showing her the photos of the storage unit contents. Then I'll make sure they know you were complicit. Fear and calculation warred on Emma's face. How do I know you'll keep your word? I pulled out another document, a cashier's check for $100,000. Consider this a good faith payment too. Here is another one waiting for you after Lily is safely with me, and you've told the FBI everything you know. Emma stared at the check, then back at me. He'll know I betrayed him. He's going to prison, Emma. The only question is whether you'll be joining him there. She took a deep breath, then nodded slowly. What do you need me to do? As I outlined my plan, I felt a cold sense of satisfaction. Ethan had thought I was weak, that he'd left me with nothing. He had no idea that I now held his entire future in my hands, and tomorrow I would take back what was mine. The next morning dawned clear and bright, Miami's sky, a mocking shade of perfect blue. I'd barely slept, running through the plan repeatedly in my mind, looking for weak points, anticipating Ethan's possible reactions. Emma had texted at 6 a.m., and he doesn't suspect anything. We're going to the beach at 11, Kaga Lily like you asked, asterisk perfect. Public place witnesses, security cameras. I'd chosen the location carefully, a popular stretch of Miami Beach with plenty of families around, a police station nearby, and limited escape routes. By 10:30 I was in position, sitting at a beachfront estuary with a clear view of the access point Emma had described. Diane sat at a separate table, posing as another beachgoer. Two of her associates were positioned strategically nearby, and a Miami-Dade police detective who owed Diane a favor was on standby at precisely 11:05. I spotted them, Emma in a wide-brimmed hat and sundress, leading Lily by the hand. Ethan followed a few steps behind, carrying a beach bag and looking relaxed, unsuspecting. I took a deep breath and signaled to Diane. She nodded almost imperceptibly and touched her ear, activating the communication system connecting our team. As planned, Emma led them to a spot about 20 yards from where I sat. She spread out a large beach blanket, then knelt down to help Lily with her sandals. I'm going to get some water, Emma announced loudly enough for me to hear. Watch Lily for a minute? Ethan nodded absently, already engrossed in his phone. As Emma walked toward the beachfront shops, she passed my table, dropping a small key fob into my purse without breaking stride. The key to Ethan's rental car where he'd left his laptop, and if Emma was right, access to his USAT accounts and offshore banking details. One of Diane's associates immediately followed Emma, who would lead him to the car. Meanwhile, I watched Ethan and Lily waiting for the right moment. Lily was playing with a sand bucket, digging enthusiastically while Ethan continued scrolling on his phone, occasionally glancing up to check on her. My phone buzzed with a text from Diane. Car access, quitting data now, 5 minutes. Asterisk I stood up, my heart pounding, and walked slowly toward them. Ethan didn't notice me until I was about 10 feet away. When he looked up, his expression shifted from shock to anger to calculation in the span of seconds. Maya, he said, standing quickly. What are you doing here? I came to see my daughter, I replied calmly, loud enough for nearby beachgoers to hear, and to give you one chance to do the right thing. His eyes darted around, looking for Emma, assessing the situation. This isn't the place for a scene. No scene, I agreed. Just a simple choice. You can hand Lily over to me now voluntarily, or you can be arrested in front of her. Your call. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Arrested? For what? Taking my own daughter on vacation. You've lost your mind. Not for that, I said quietly. For money laundering, wire fraud, tax evasion. Should I continue? The color drained from his face. You don't know what you are talking about? Storage Unit 247, I said, watching his reaction carefully. Offshore accounts in the Caymans and Singapore. Recognition accrurency wallets moving funds for clients in Moscow and Beijing. Right now, the FBI is being sent every file from your laptop and cloud accounts. His expression confirmed everything. How did you? He stopped, realization dawning. Ethan's face hardened. You think you've won? You have no idea what you are dealing with. The people I work with, they don't play by the rules. If I go down, you'll never be safe. Neither will Lily. Is that a threat? It's reality. Why do you think I left so suddenly? Things were getting hot. I was trying to protect you both by creating distance. I almost laughed. You stole my money and my child to protect us. The money was to establish new identities, he insisted, lowering his voice. I was going to send for you once it was safe. Save it for the FBI, I replied. I am not interested in your lies anymore. Lily had stopped playing and was watching us, her little face confused. Mommy, are you mad at Daddy? I knelt down to her level. No, sweetheart, Pashes and Daddy just need to talk about some grown-up things. Would you like to come home with me? She looked uncertainly between us. Can Daddy come too? Ethan seized the opportunity, his voice suddenly gentle. See, Maya, she wants us to be together. We can work this out as a family. Just call off whatever you set in motion and we can talk. For a moment I almost wavered. The hope in Lily's eyes, the familiar persuasiveness in Ethan's voice. It would be so easy to believe him. Then my phone buzzed with another text. Vendetta secured. FBI contact confirms it's enough for arrest warrant. Police standing by asterisk no, I said firmly, standing to face Ethan. T here is no way anymore. T here is no family to save. You destroyed that the moment you chose to betray us. I saw the exact moment Ethan realized he had lost. His shoulders slumped slightly, his eyes darting around for an escape route that didn't exist. What happened?